Good morning, everyone. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Professor.
How are you? How are you,
Good
Devin?
morning.
Morning, Professor. Good morning.
Morning, Bonnie. Morning, Robert. Good morning. Uh, good morning, Damien. All right. So I believe we okay. Midterm two, right? I should mention something about midterm two. Of course. In the announcement. It's going to be next. It's going to start next Wednesday, Friday, right? Midterm two. So everyone should acknowledge, right? I in my email, my email notification. Where is midterm one? Midterm two. Yeah, here. I always, ask people to reply, to acknowledge, that you have received this notification. I haven't received that many replies, but anyway, so it's gonna start right uh, Friday, right? Next Friday. Okay. Um, so we are about to uh, this week we're about to talk about immunization, right? Um, so basically, immunization is matching the uh, think about matching the guaranteeing. Immunization is a way to ensure or guarantee uh, that the payment obligation, the liability, is matched with our assets, right? So this won't be a problem if we are not uh, a financial institution. I mean, what I'm saying is, if you're a financial institution, right, you would have um, as a financial institution, you must have sold some products, financial products, right, which is usually a guaranteed investment contract. Guaranteed investment contract is like it's like savings account or like CD, like saying each CD is $10,000, and if the CD interest rate is 8%, and if the this contract is for 5 years, then we know what we owe in 5 years. We know what we have to pay out, right? It's simple. It's $10,000. $10,000 times 1.08 raised to 5. So this is our obligation, payment obligation or liability, 14.693. Uh, so this is like a CD, but it can be called, it can go by different names. In the generic name is guaranteed investment contract, and CD is exactly like that. And if you think about it, uh, uh, GIC, the guaranteed investment contract, something like CD, is exactly a zero coupon bond. Isn't that right? Because, well, let me first make sure that the volume is okay. The volume is not right. I heard you very faintly. Okay, so let's think about it. Yeah, it's a zero coupon bond in a way, and it's quite obvious. Why? You think if it is a zero, a zero coupon bond is always a discount bond, right? And generally you think a zero coupon bond, the maturity value of the zero coupon bond is 1K, and the selling price is discounted. So it's something like, $800 or, $750, and in 5 years it, grows to 1K. So actually, and that's what zero coupon bond is. It doesn't pay any coupon interest. And basically what happens, between the selling price of the bond, right, and the maturity value, that's capital gains. But, instead of, that's what you generally think about. But instead, think of it this way. Currently, the selling price of the zero coupon is 10K, right? And then whatever it may be. If you pay 10K and in 5 years, if it grows to 14.95K, that's also zero coupon, right? So it's exactly zero coupon, but it's called, guaranteed investment contract. Okay, so think about it. As a financial institution, you sold this, right? And let me see, what was the exact specification? 14,693, 8%, 14,693. 14,693. So where R is 8% and T 5 years, right? 5 years. Okay. So then think about it. As a financial institution, if we sold something like this, a product like this, that means 5 years later, we should have 5 years later. So this is our obligation, our liability. This is our liability. Then that means 5 years later, we must have an asset, right? Whose future value should be equal to or greater than, right? It should be 5 years later. It should be equal to or greater than the maturity value of the bond, right? And think about it. Where does this come from? Well, this will have to come from some investment that we make, right? Where, this FV, right? And why did I do that? Okay, where FV. Our investment, right? Usually this investment must be something stable, from something like fixed income investment, which is, basically bond, fixed income. Should I write this? Fixed income security. And what's this fixed income security? It's bond, basically, right? It cannot be stock, because we cannot think about it. If we have a payment obligation in 5 years, right? And the payment obligation is this amount. If we put this, and if we, so we receive 10K from our client, and if we put this into stock, we are taking a big risk. We may not be able to come up with this in 5 years. So what guarantees that? Only bond can guarantee that, right? And of course, that means, we would prefer, what's going on? No. And we would prefer, if possible, this future value to be greater than that maturity value of our obligation. Why? If it just matches, then we are not making anything. We want to make something, right? But the bottom line is, of course, so the bottom line is, it should be at least equal to the maturity value. And in the case, we're not making anything, of course, as a financial institution. But then think about it. The answer will be very easy. This has 8%. I mean, our liability or our payment obligation has 8%. Why is it doing this? It has 8% interest rate. Then shouldn't we? Okay, so isn't it simple? Shouldn't our be put into something shouldn't it be put into something where this rate, let's call this rate of our assets, and let's call this rate of our let's call this rate of our liabilities, and let's call this okay, let's call this rate of our assets, okay, where if that is greater than the rate of our liabilities, wouldn't that be, easy? Wouldn't that be, wouldn't the problem be solved? Yeah, of course. I mean, the answer is simple. I mean, all we need to do is to find the bond that pays higher return than 8%. But then think about it. That may be possible or may not be possible. That may or may not be possible. Why? As I've been telling you, the interest rate, financial market, especially banking, is a very competitive industry. If the reason we are paying, the reason we offered 8% when we sold our product, the reason we offered 8% is because this is a very competitive rate. In other words, on average in the market, right? On average, the going rate in the market, or the prevailing market rate, is somewhere around 8%. Ours may be slightly better. If our rate isn't slightly better, why would our clients put their money with us? So most likely our 8% is probably, it's a competitive rate. It could be slightly better than the average market rate. So then that means when it comes to us, right, putting our, so this is actually this, right? That's actually this, right? So it's not easy for us either. It's not easy for us either to find a bond that pays something greater than the return on our liabilities, right? It may be possible. I mean, if we can find something that's really greater, it would be wonderful. It would be wonderful, right? So the point is, it should be this rate should be at least equal to or greater than the return on the liabilities. But then the interesting thing is, what if when we when we put this money into the bond, it has to be we want it to be not 5 years. We don't want T to be 5 years. Actually, we want the T to be 6 years, one more year. Well, you might wonder, oh, then so in other words, we want the the maturity of our asset would be 1 year longer than the maturity of our liabilities. And you might wonder why. I mean, you might think, if that's the case, then don't we have to wait until year 6, end of year 6, to have our future value? And then then how can we pay our client? Because our contract is for 5 years, right? We are then, we're leaving at the end of year 5, we are leaving our clients, empty-handed, because we have to wait until years. No, we don't have to. Why? The point is, if we have a 6-year bond, we can sell it at the end of year 5, right? Isn't that right? We can sell it at the end of year 5, or end of year 5 is the same thing as beginning of year 6, right? We can sell it at the end of year 5, and as long as the proceeds from sale of this bond is equal to or greater than this, right? As long as it's greater than this, then we are good. Yeah, that's so. Then think about it. Let's take a look at what's going to happen here. So this is what this is all about. So we're going to, because we put it into a coupon bond that pays 8%, right? And if we reinvest it at 8%, I mean, if the market rate, in other words, yield, the prevailing rate remains at 8%, then the first coupon will be deposited 4 times until the end of year 5, right? Until the end of year 5 or beginning of year 6. It's gonna when this first coupon is reinvested, right, and compounded at 8% for 4 years, it's gonna be this, and then the second coupon reinvested at still 8%. I mean, if the market rate is 8%, right, prevailing market rate is 8%, wherever you reinvest it, I mean, on average, if you reinvest it if you save it in the bank, right, still you'll get 8%, right, on average. So it's gonna then get compounded for 3 years. Then the next one for 2 years, right? And the fourth in year 5, the fourth coupon, which was paid at the end of year 4, will be this at the end of year 5. And at the end of year 5, the last coupon, it will still be 800. And then when we sell this bond, right, because the bond is supposed to have one more coupon, isn't it right? Remember, the maturity of the bond is 6 years, right? So at the beginning of year 6 or at the end of year 5, the bond has cash flow. This bond has a future cash flow of $10,800, right? Expected future cash flow of $10,800. And then you discount it 1 year back to end of year 5, it will have to be exactly $10,000. And if you sum all of that, it's exactly, right? It will come to 14,693. That's exactly our obligation. Well, this is a happy story, right? This is a happy tale. If there is no change in interest rate, right? If there's no change in prevailing market rate, this is a happy story. We'll have our asset value at the end of year 5 exactly matched with the liabilities, value of the liabilities. We're happy. Of course, if the coupon rate is better, if the coupon rate is 9%, wonderful for us, right? we're both happy. This is a win-win. We keep our clients happy. We meet our obligation, and we still have something left over for us. Now, but this won't be the same case. This won't be the same if this won't be the same thing if interest rate changes. And again, think about it. It's 5 years, right? Whatever is great, whatever term that's greater than 1 year is long term, and whatever long term interest rate changes are hard to nail down, right? As I said, we can tell pretty much what's going to happen within 1 year, right? Because Federal Reserve always provides guidance, right? So we know within this year there's going to be 6. Fed has already made it clear that they're going to raise the interest rate 6 times this year, and each time 0.25. So if it is 6 times, then it's going to be 1.5% overall, isn't it right? 1.5%. So by the end of the year, we can expect, the rate will be 1.5% higher, right? Of course, that's the short-term, benchmark interest rate, Fed funds rate. But overall, all the rates in the market will pretty much, go up by about 1.5% by the end of the year, right? So for short-term interest rate movements, we have pretty good idea. But for long-term, we don't know how Federal Reserve will change the rate, in 3 years or in 5 years. We don't know. But if ever there's a change, the change will be within about 1%. I mean, 1.5% change is already a very drastic change. But usually the rate changes within 1%, right? The increment is just about 1%. So what if the rates fall to, in other words, the market rate, prevailing market rate, falls to 7%? Then our reinvestment, that will be our reinvestment rate, right? Our obligation is still 14,693 because it's guaranteed investment contract. So we promised 8%. It's locked. It doesn't change. But now the discount rate will change. Also, our reinvestment rate will change because the market rate falls to 7%. Then our first coupon will be by the end of year 5, it's going to be 1,048. Second coupon will be this. Third coupon will be this because our reinvestment rate is now 7%. Now, then, obviously, we will have smaller. We will have smaller future value of these coupons, right? Because reinvestment rate is lower. But then this will be compensated. I shouldn't say. But think about end of year 5 value of our bond, because our bond will be paying 10,800 at the end of year 6, right? If you discount 1 year back to year 5, end of year 5, because the discount rate is smaller, what's happening? The present value of that bond is greater than before, right? Previously, it was this previously, because think about it, when you have 10,800 and you discount it by 1.08, it will have to be exactly 10K. But now you discount it by 1.07, right? It will have to be a greater value. Will have to be a greater value, right? So whatever you lose here, right? Whatever you lose here from the coupons, right? Future values of the coupons, that gets offset by the gain in the present value of the bond. Okay. So the total comes to 14,694. Okay, which is greater than this. So we're covered or immunized from rate change. Okay, does that make sense? You guys are awfully quiet. Are you there? Are you guys there?
Yes, Professor.
Okay.
Yes, Professor.
All righty. So that makes sense. Why it is immunized, right? Does that make sense? How it is immunized? Does that make sense?
Yes, Professor. Because it becomes a premium
Okay.
bond then.
Yeah. I mean, we are of course, uh, okay, Shabir. I don't know. Only two people understood it. Uh, it's not premium bond. It's coupon bond, but it's not premium bond. Why? Uh, Here, when the prevailing market rate is 8% and our coupon rate is 8%, then that's exactly, it's, par value bond. But when the rate falls to 7%, right, the yield or the prevailing market rate falls to 7%, then it will be a discount bond. You might want, why? It's greater than 10K. No. It's because it is with 10,800 is the year six, right? Cash flow, which is, which includes the coupon payment as well. The the face value of 10,000 will be, I mean, the total, value, the total price of this thing, when discounted all the way down to time zero, it will be less than 10,000, right? On the other hand, what if the prevailing market rate goes up to 9%? So 1% increase, 1% increase. So, and all this is because, in the long term, in the long run, we are not, we can't nail the interest rate movement exactly, right? And then because there's always a possibility that the interest rate can move. That's called, once again, if you remember from Finance 100, it's called interest rate risk. Interest rate risk, right? Which is also called, maturity risk, which is also called, price risk. Why? Of course, we understand as interest rate fluctuates, the price of the bond, the rational price, the present value of the bond will fluctuate. And especially if interest rate goes up, right, prevailing market rate goes up, our price will go down. Price will go down. And if interest rate, when interest rate goes down, price will go up. Yeah, I'm sorry. This was, premium bond, right? I mean, I was talking. This will be a discount bond, as you can see. Um, so so obviously, you might think, interest rate, and also the reason it is also called price risk is when interest rate goes up, price goes down. So it's called price risk. And also the reason it is called maturity risk is the longer the maturity, there are more chances of um, rate fluctuation. There are more chances, right? Um, the longer the maturity. I mean, there could be multiple uh, reversals or multiple fluctuations in interest rate. And when interest rate goes so when interest rate goes up, generally, price of the bond, the present value, right, which is the present value, suffers. But when interest rate goes up, then reinvestment benefits, right? Because as interest rate goes up, what you reinvest, I mean, all these coupon payments that you reinvest, right? It will benefit, right, from higher reinvestment rate. When interest rate goes down, it's good for the present value of the bond, but it's bad for the reinvestment, right? Because you will be reinvesting all the coupons at a lower interest rate. But think about it. That's called reinvestment rate risk. So um, interest rate risk and reinvestment rate risk are kind of offsetting each other, right? Interest rate risk and reinvestment rate risk are kind of offsetting each other. So when rate goes up to 9%, think about it. All these coupons benefit, right? Because the reinvestment rate is higher. And then look at the then at the end of year 5, at the end of year 5, look at the end of year 5 value of uh, end of year 6 cash flow. End of year 6 cash flow is of course 10,800, but it gets discounted deeper, 1% more, right? So price of the bond suffers. But either way, because you benefit from the higher reinvestment rate, right? The total is still, total didn't change that much, right? It's 14,696, and which is, $3, almost $3 more than our payment obligation. So that way, we are again immunized, right? Our investment, our payment obligation is immunized, right? Makes sense? Our payment obligation is immunized against interest rate fluctuations. So this is why it's called immunization. Okay, so if you let's do some let's do this. Let's do this. You will have chapter 11 immunization practice, which is you will find it in okay, that's topic. Okay, this is, we are actually, in topic 4 by the main lecture. As I've been telling you, collaborate is always a review and reflection. By now, by this week and next week, you should be caught up all the way up to this. And this, the first 3, risk and return 6 through 11 are already grayed out. So those, if you didn't study this, my YouTube channel, go there and watch it from there. Okay. Um, but I mean, this is the file that you downloaded last time. I believe this is the, what is this? Time value of money? Oh, no, 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 no. That's, okay, that's not. So if you go to topic 3, right? Bond exercise 1, right? This one you need to download, and which is also, I believe, immunization practice. I mean, this one, we worked on this one last time, and this one and also worked on spreadsheet 11-1. I believe we did 11-2. Yeah. So it's this file, right? And this file, right? It's the same content. If you actually open it, you will see this is immunization practice. Um, the same thing is reproduced here. Okay. Also, this is the same thing. Okay. So either way, I mean, if you want, I'm gonna just to make it easier, I'll put it here. So it's fine. It doesn't matter which one you open. Okay, it doesn't matter which one you open. But let's say I'm going to keep, I'm going to use this one. So I don't know if it's visible, quite visible to you. And if it is easy to see. This is a duration exercise, so we're not going to do this for now. This is the immunization exercise, right? So first, let's think about it. The yield is basically, this is the yield given, right? So are you working on this with me now? Oh,
yes, Professor.
Okay, it sounds like only one person all the time, or one or two people. The rest of the class is, so
We're here, Professor.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
there.
here. We're here.
Okay, good.
What happened?
You're there. Okay, all right. So you have this file in front of you. I want you to I want you to have either bond exercise 1, and you have to be here in, look at the bottom tab, right? You have to be on the bottom tab, immunization. Either that or chapter 11, immunization practice, right? Okay. It's the same thing. So first, if the rate increases by 200 basis point, so this is the prevailing market rate, and suppose if it moves by 200 basis point means, just 2%, right? So we add 0.02. Okay. And then we will also, we'll compare when it increases by 2 point, when it interest rate increases by 2%, 2 percentage point, or decreases by 2 percentage point. I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna lock this.
Professor,
Yeah,
that
I
says
will lock.
that's 20. You put 22. You said 2, right? 200, right?
200 basis point means 2%.
Right, but you got 22 though, right?
No, you can't put 22.
That's what's there, Professor.
No, I entered 0. 22. I'm sorry. Oh, that's what you meant. 0.2, 0.2, right? Sorry about that. 0.2, 0.22, right? 0.2. Thank you for mentioning that. Now, if we do it like that, then, if we lock this later, because the rate moves from 8% either up 2% or by 1%, or down 2% or down by 1%. So locking up, right? Locking up in B3, that would be important, because when you copy that, it's gonna we don't have to change anything. We'll just everything will nicely work, just making adjustment. Now then, let's think about the future value of all these coupons. Future value, and if the coupon rate is 8%, coupon rate is also 8%, and that's basically future value of annuity, isn't that right? You will have 5 coupons, right? And you'll have 5 coupons, but those are. But the last coupon is okay. The 6th coupon will be, so going back here, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coupons, right? And the last coupon, 6th coupon, will be part of the part of the bond valuation, right? Bond price. So for future value of all those coupons, right, which is the future value of annuity, we'll use this annuity formula, right? Future value of annuity. So 800 is, what? It is, par value should be, $10,000, not 1,000. It should be $10,000. I mean, if we match it with our example, it should be 10,000. We're gonna do that later. We're gonna, but this was what was given there originally. So that times 8%. That's gonna be the payment, right? But we're gonna lock all of these. Lock this. That way we can, lock this. Hit F4. Lock this. And then times, open parenthesis, open another one, 1 plus R, right? right? We're going to lock that too. That way we can copy that over later. And then these two. Holding period is 5 years, so it's going to be 5. Close parenthesis. And lock that too. That way. And then divide it by R. And then lock it. Hit enter. That's the why is there no dollar sign? We'll put a dollar sign there, no problem. That's the future value of all these coupons, right? Now the sale price of the bond, price of the bond is basically, we know, it's the present value of all the coupon payments plus maturity value, the face value of the bond. So we know what it is. It's 10,080, right? I mean 1,080, right? Because the par value is 1,000. One more coupon payment. $80, right? So it's going to be then discounted. Here. What did I do? I'm sorry. First of all, the rate increased. I forgot to. The rate has increased, so I'll have to. The rate has changed. That I forgot. So it's no longer the rate. There you go. And then sale price, we can use this formula, but again, we can simply discount it. A simpler way is, I will show you. The simpler way is basically 1,000 plus, actually, $1,000 times 1 plus coupon rate. Coupon rate will keep because we have to. Coupon doesn't change, right? We simply discount it by 1 plus this. Okay, I'm not gonna lock this because this one, my copy, it should also work here, so I wouldn't lock. There you go. This is the sale price of the bond at the end of year 5, because at the end of year 5, you still have the cash flow expected at the end of year 6 is 1,080. Okay. The total is going to be sum of these two. Now, is that what was the original? Let's just check the original work that I had. What is going on here? Oh, what happened? B6 times B4. One plus B12. One plus R. That is this much. Yeah, it can't be because I mean, it's only $80, $80 every time. Okay. Even at 10% for B7, 5 years. What went wrong? Oh, did I do -1? Oh, no wonder. No wonder. I'm sorry. The phone -1. I forgot. I missed that, and I didn't Okay. So now we got this, right? So think about it. I mean, this is consider this the scaled down version. Okay, scaled down version. Um, in our example, right? Par value is 10,000, right? In our example, the par value is we received the investment from the client. We received, $10,000 from our clients, right? So, and we guaranteed to pay 8% interest rate. So it's the same scenario, and for 5 years, same scenario, but it was scaled down to 1,000. So if you just add another zero here, that will be exactly like our uh, example. So suppose we have, and then let's copy this and paste it here, and that's going to be once you have done that, it's going to be easy. This time the rate increased by 100 basis point, right, which is, just 1 percentage point, then in that case, it will still be like this, but sale price of the bond, this will be, what happened? F12, where is F12? There's nothing in F12. So what this is actually, I should have locked this. I forgot to lock it, right? Discount SB12. Oh, F6, not the, I forgot to lock this, that's why. I should have locked this. And if I lock that, that would have, all right. So then it comes to, if the rate increased by 1%, right? In other words, then rate is 9%, then it's 14,792. Let's put the dollar sign there. Dollar sign. Okay. And then if the rate decreases by 1%, if the rate decreases by, that's increase, and if it is decrease, then it will be minus 0.01. There you go. We have future value of all those coupons will be this. I locked everything, so B12. Oh. I shouldn't have locked B12. Okay, something. It shouldn't be B12, but this should be F12. And this should be not B12. Okay. If I did F12, okay, let me, and this should also be F12. And for this, if this is F21, this should be also F21. All right, and the sale price, okay. So here, let's compare this with the, so we basically replicated this table there. When the interest rate went down by 1%, if it is 7%, then 14,694. What did we get here? 14,694, right? And then if the rate increased by 100 basis point, 14,696. When it increased by 1% to 9%, 14,696, right? Okay, you get it? So this exercise is basically trying to replicate that table, right? 696. So by copying this, we can also paste here. We can also see what it's going to be when it went down by 2%. If it went down by 2%, that's 800. That's the payment, right? Coupon payment. B21. That's B21. Yeah. Raised to B7 is fixed. B21. Sale price of the bond. B4. And B21 total. So no matter what, think about it. No matter what, whether and I told you, interest rates don't change, greatly. At best, it moves within 1 to 2% range, right? Within 1 to 2% range. So even if interest rate goes up or goes down by 2%, right? Our portfolio, our payment obligation is immunized, right? Because it's always, somewhere around, 14,000, 6 something. I mean, our payment obligation is 14,693 or something like that, right? Our payment obligation is 14,693, and so our payment obligation is all immunized, right? And it should give us, similar, all about 8% internal rate of return. It would be slightly above 8% or 8%, but yeah, we'll do that after the break. It's almost, Jesus, 10:43. So we're gonna take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 10:55. So I'll leave it. I'll put it into formula view. I'll put it into formula view, and so that you can catch up if you haven't. And I want you to complete this. Oh. All right, we're back. We're back. So I hope you guys have. Um, I hope you guys have all checked it out. Everyone. So did you all get the same result? Did you all? Did you all work this out? Where is everybody? Anyone there?
Yes, Professor, we got the same
We're here,
result.
Professor.
Okay, good, good.
We're here.
At least 3 people, 4 people, I believe. At least
Yes,
four
sir.
people. All right, five got the same result. Good. Just one more thing. I turned it into a formula view. So let me turn it back to a normal view. Go back. Oh, all right. So that is all messy now. All right. The last thing is internal rate of return, which is nothing. It's just the compounded rate, CAGR, annual compounded growth rate. Um, uh, Usually, internal rate of you cannot use IRR here. I mean that command doesn't work here. IRR command is internal rate of return command is can be used when you have cash flows listed, right? Cash flows all you have the data points for all cash flows. C0, C1, C2, C3, right? Cash flow one, cash flow two, cash flow three. If they are cash flow at time zero, if they're all listed, then you can do that. But for this, we just use rate function. Um, so n periods, 5, right? Just give it what it's asking for. Payment. There's no. We'll have to do it by par value times coupon rate. Okay, and we'll. Okay. Present value. That's the sale price of the bond. Future value, and we'll need to make this negative because that's cash outflow. Something's not right. Where did I go wrong? Oh, it must be 6. Yeah, until maturity, 6. Something's not right. Oh, yeah. Future value is always, I'm sorry. Future value is always the maturity value, right? Okay, so it comes to, as you can see, it comes to about 8%. Increase this 2 decimal places. But this is rather too high. And let's say if I rate, I want to lock this. be 6 times B4, lock that, minus B14, okay. This doesn't have to be there. And if I can replicate this. Yeah. And also replicate this. 7%, that's significantly lower. No. The internal rate of return is still around 8%, right? And the difference is exactly like by 4/2. We'll leave it at that, so if you got everything right, then next is rebalancing. Now rebalancing is relatively secondary concept to immunization. So this is all about still. So as yield changes, in other words, interest rate changes, so does the duration. Immunization is also called duration matching. If the duration, so for example, immunization, which is duration matching, basically the duration of the both, right? Duration of both. Remember, our payment obligation is 0 coupon. Our payment obligation is, our liability is 0 coupon. What's happening here? And you remember, 0 coupon bonds, for 0 coupon bond, maturity is duration. There's no difference between duration and maturity for 0 coupon. So, but our assets, right? Our assets have maturity of 6 years. But if the duration is the same, right? Then both are assets and liabilities are basically matched. So how do basically the whole point that we have done so far is basically that we wanted to make the duration of our assets equal to the duration of our guaranteed investment contract, which is basically 0 coupon. And one thing we didn't one thing I forgot to do here is actually, this. Okay. Now, we can find duration using, Macaulay duration, right? So, and also we can find duration using this formula. This is called closed-end formula, and the closed-end formula. Actually, I simplified it more. This is what the book gives you, but actually, if you think about it, this thing is simply one. This thing is simply one, actually. If the coupon over P times Y, and if Y is the same thing, in other words, the yield, if the yield is same thing as the coupon rate, and in our example, uh, uh, the yield is already, in this case, it will be different. It will be different, but the yield is just for this. That means, when yield is same as the coupon rate, then this will be just one, right? So in that case, when the bond is priced at par value, then we can simplify it further. Otherwise, we can't, right? At this part, I, simplified further. But suppose, why do we need this duration formula? Because if we want to use duration, Macaulay duration, using, we did that before, right? I'll go to financial, uh, scroll down to M duration, Macaulay duration, right? This is Macaulay duration. This is duration. So this is the regular duration, right? This is the right. Actually, Macaulay duration is the M duration is modified duration. So by using duration formula, the problem is we have to enter settlement date and maturity date. And if that information is not given, it's 5 years. So we can enter anything like, 2000, let's say we enter, we can give it like, time zero. Where did I do that? Did I put any date here somewhere? Yeah, we can use, something like this, right? So let's copy this. We can, and make it 5 years. Then, right? Make it 5 years. So if we have the date, right, like that, we can use duration formula. But if this information is not given, knowing that it is 5 years, we can just, simply do this. Duration, right? Settlement date, this, maturity date, this, and coupon rate, this, and yield, this, frequency, we assumed, annual, just once a year, and then it comes to something like this, right? And if we use this formula, right? If you use this formula, simply, it's so it's so complicated, but we can do that. T minus another T minus 1 plus y, 1 plus y, or y, whole thing times, if I write down, times, open parenthesis, 1 plus y is to T Oh, that was 6. I'm sorry. That was maturity. T. So somewhere here, I should also do not B7, but B3, B5, B5 minus 1, close parenthesis, divided by 1 plus y raised to T. Okay. All right, it's done. No, not here. Okay, that parenthesis is T minus times. Now, there's a slight difference here. Why is it L3? Oh, 6 years. I'm sorry. This, which really. They are pretty much the same. Okay. Now, so where was I? So immunization is basically a duration matching, right? If the duration of the both, I mean, if the duration are the same, that means, you're getting from our coupon bonds, you're getting most of the payouts, cash flows, the coupon bonds, effectively, right? Because duration is effective maturity, right? If you're getting most of the cash flows already by year 5, then you're good. I mean, you meet your obligation, right? And because your obligation is a zero coupon, so it is like, it's maturity is duration exactly. So if they are duration matches, both uh, assets and liabilities, duration of both assets and liabilities match, then uh, you are immunized, you're covered, right? That's the whole, concept behind it. So, but then the duration changes as the yield changes. Of course, when something something changes, it causes changes in other things. And this is also Molkill's, theorem number 4 or number 5, right? The longer uh, the longer the maturity, the longer the duration. Of course, the longer the maturity, and the higher the yield, the higher the duration, or uh, uh, so as interest rate changes, if interest rate changes, then duration will change. I mean, what was immunized in year 1, it's no longer immunized in year 2, right? Um, as in year 2, if interest rate changes, right? So rebalancing is required. Um, so let's try this. Construct an immunized portfolio where the obligation is this in maturity of 7 years. So this is basically present value of 10K, right, at 10% for 7 years. Okay, which is not a difficult thing to figure out. Uh, 10,000 times 1.1 raised to 7, right? 19,000. So this is your, so you sold as a financial institution, right? Insurance, so for banks, this is, think about it. If you're the bank, the textbook talks about insurance companies, but even the banks, I've been telling you, CD, if they sell CD with 10% APR, 7-year CD, right? And one CD contract is 10K usually, right? You deposit 10K, and 7 years later you get 19,487. How does the bank guarantee that they will have this to pay out in 7 years, right? So what they do is, one thing they can do is, put into bond like this, put into bond that 10K. And once again, as I said, if your assets, in other words, the money you put into the bond, right, pays 9% already, 9% coupon, 9% coupon, or 10% coupon, you're okay. I mean, 7 years later, you will have more than this. Okay, but again, then because of the interest rate risk and reinvestment rate risk, it may not be fully immunized. It may not be fully covered at that point. Before immunization, you cannot call it immunized, covered. I mean, with 10K that you received from the client, you put it into a 9% bond or 10% bond. Most likely, you will more than meet 7 years later this, but 7 years is a long time. It's a long time. So you may not, and if there are interest rate fluctuations, interest rate changes during these 7 years, right? It may not be covered by the end of year 7. So you need to immunize, and immunized portfolio needs to be rebalanced every year. So in this exercise, what they are trying to show you is basically, how do you construct an immunized portfolio using, first of all, one easy thing, one easy solution is put the money into a zero coupon bond for 7 years. Now think about it, but it's a lot of thought experiments, and the way this book presents it is, the authors are exploring every possible scenario. So obviously one possible scenario is, put that $10,000 into a zero coupon bond that pays at least 10% or more, right? Think about it. I took $10,000 from a client, and I promised to pay, $19,487 in 7 years, which is basically, which gives you the APR of 10%. So then the simple thing is, I use that money to put into a zero coupon bond that pays 11% for 7 years. 11% for 7 years. Then 7 years later, whatever 11% will pay more than this. And as a financial institution, I need to make something out of this, right? So if that is possible, I would definitely do that. But what did I say? If there is an 11% zero coupon bond, my client would put it himself in that, zero coupon bond. Isn't that right? Why would they put it with me and get 10% when he knows that he can also make 11% a year, right? He can also put it into the zero coupon that pays 11%. Well, obviously, here's the information asymmetry. I am an asset manager, or I am a financial institution, so I would have more information, better information than my client. And my client would have less information than I. So that's why he is, using my service. If he has the same information as I have, then there's no reason he would use a financial institution. Isn't that right? So that only on that premise, this is possible, right? Only on that premise. And then but again, unless I really have a superior information, banking is a pretty, as I said, quite competitive industry. I mean, if there's a bond that pays, 10 on average. I mean, if 10% is the average yield that the bonds of certain risk class pays, right? Within that class, within the same, so let's say triple B bonds pay 10%. That means on average, if the prevailing market rate for triple B is 10%, that means, on average, all, triple B bonds pay 10% on average. If you want better return, it's not easy to find anything within the same category. The only way you can get a better return is go down in the rating. You have to go to a double B category. If you go up in the rating system, you go to a single A, then it will pay 9% or 8% lower return. So obviously you wouldn't, I mean, the higher the credit rating, it's safer, but you wouldn't go into higher graded bonds because they pay lower. The only option is, going down in that ladder, going down the ladder, right? What I'm saying is go down to double B or single. But as you go down that ladder of credit rating, then you are facing more risk. You get more return, but there's more risk of default, right? So that's what makes the difference. I mean, as just an investor, as a regular investor, I can also check the bond ratings. And if I want 10%, I have to do most likely, on average, I will get just 10% in that triple B category. And that's where the difference comes. That's where the difference comes into play. A regular investor and a financial institution would have better information, whether they have more, computers that can have higher screening capability, so they can screen better. I mean, they can screen, their computers have more from, whatever, Bloomberg, from Bloomberg machine, they pull this data of all triple B companies that pay, and every the return from everyone, yield from every one of them, and you found something that pays, it's still triple B category, but there is something that pays 11% or 12%, right? And that's because you're a financial institution and you have the capability, you have the resources to do such an extensive screening. But as an individual investor, you don't have the capability to do that extensive screening, right? You can probably find, some bond that pays, zero coupon bond that pays, 10%, or coupon bond that pays, 10%. But your capability, your resources are limited. You can't do more. So that's why you take your money to a financial institution, and so that the financial institution can guarantee, either they can guarantee you 10% or 11%, but the financial institution will be able to do it still leaving them some profit out of this. That means, if they pay you 10%, they will have found something that pays 11% or 12%. But again, this is called, cash flow. Later, you will see this is called cash flow matching. Cash flow matching. Cash flow matching is a simple solution to rebalancing. It's matching the cash flow from fixed income simply by zeros with that has the same future value as your payment obligation. So that means, you sold this guaranteed investment product to your client, which pays 10% return every year. So in year 7, you will pay 19,000 something. But you use that money to put into a zero coupon bond that pays 10% for 0 coupon. It doesn't pay coupon, but at the end of year 7, the annualized return or the yield would be 7%. But then what's the point? I mean, if you can do this, if you do this, you are not making anything for yourself, right? So if you do this, at least you will need to, rather than cash flow matching, the cash flow from your portfolio, your investment portfolio, should be greater than your obligation. Not just matching. In other words, not just matching the cash flow, actually, but that's the worst case scenario. In the worst case scenario, you make zero, but at least you match the cash flow, you match the obligation. You end up with the future value of your portfolio will be exactly equal to the future value your obligation, right? Future value of your obligation. But that's the worst case scenario, right? If possible, you don't want to match just the cash flow. You want the cash flow from your investment portfolio greater than your obligation, and then that's in that case, of course, your return or your yield from your investment portfolio will have to be, that means will be greater than just 10%, right? That makes sense. So that's a simple example. Now this gives me a lot of so basically I'm not going to go over rebalancing because although they explore different ways of rebalancing, and what's important is the finding the weight. I mean, if you construct your portfolio with zero coupon and perpetuity, how much weight into zero coupon and how much weight into perpetuity, and how to rebalance it in year 2. And it's just that, so you can just read it. You can just read it up. It's not something really, worth digging into, and especially when simple solution exists, such as cash flow matching. Rebalancing is really, not a crucial thing. So as I have already talked about cash flow matching, the only thing that here, a couple of more things about that cash flow matching. We need to move on to convexity. So the convexity will take time. It will take time to. So I think this is the right time to take a break. So it's 11:37 now. We'll take a 10-minute break, and reconvene at 11:47 for 47, and then we'll continue with convexity. That still just gives us only about 30 minutes, and convexity will take more than. I'll try to crunch it. Okay. All righty. So let's take a 10-minute break. All right, we're back. We're back. Oh, I'm okay. My head is I'm getting lightheaded. um, all this speaking, uh, I have by constitution I have weak pulmonary function. So I mean that's my constitution. So speaking for a long time, speaking a lot. Uh, you know, that goes against my constitution. So um, 3 hour block is really, such a duress for me. I mean, it's also a duress for you as well, I believe, Uh, but at least, it's not in-person class. If it is an in-person class, sitting in the class for 3 hours, it's 2 hour 45 minutes actually, but still, it's a duress. But, you're at, this is an online class, and you're uh, in the comfort of your own home, own living room, or your own study, or uh, but still, I'm getting so uh, uh, exhausted from speaking for long. Um,
Are you okay, Professor?
yeah. I'm okay. I just got a little lightheaded a while ago
All
from
right.
speaking for a long time. I'm fine. Um, so where is? Oh, yeah. So convexity is a so the this is probably the one of the hardest. Later you will see when we move on to like uh, uh, topic 4. I think topic 4 is like balanced. Uh, topic 4 is what? Oh, topic 4 and 5, risk and return. Topic 4, and then topic 5 is efficient portfolio, efficient diversification. This will be probably convexity and the one of the things in the efficient portfolio, uh, optimal risky portfolio with risk-free assets. Constructing uh, the weight of optimal risky portfolio in a complete portfolio. That calculating that weight. I mean, the form applying the formula is not a big deal, but how did we get to that formula? Deriving that formula, that would be a headache. Um, but it would probably, uh, convexity would be probably either the toughest or second toughest uh, topic of all. Now, we all know curvature of interest rate sensitivity of price, right? That relation, right? Curvature of interest rate sensitivity of price relation, right? In other words, the uh, you all understand that because the bond between the bond and the bond price, I mean yield and the bond price, right? The relation between the two is a curvature, not a straight line. So, and in our previous class, we learned that the slope of this curve, of course, a curve has many slopes, right? A curve has infinite slopes, right? Because as you move along the curve, right, there will be infinite number of slopes, right? And all these slopes are basically, a point estimate. In other words, only at this point, there is one slope for each point, and there are infinite number of points on the curve, so there are infinite number of slopes. We just pick, randomly certain points, and then we can calculate slopes at those points. And you learned that the slopes are basically duration, right? Again, I told you the duration does the job of predicting how much the bond price will change when there is a change in the yield. If the duration will do the job well if the curvature is very flat, right? If that curve is very flat, relatively flat, then it works well, because as it is flat, the flatter it is, it will be closer to a straight line, and a straight line, the slope of the straight line is same everywhere. So we can make a good, prediction. But if the slope, if the curve has a real pronounced curvature, right? Then duration won't do a very good job. We need to have a new measure that can give us the good prediction when interest rate changes, how much the bond price will change. We need some measure, some metric that represents the curvature better. And we all understand that the curvature, this curve is a quadratic function, or second order. We all, right? Straight line is a linear function. But curve like that is a where was my I lost. Where is it? Okay, it's a vast space and I lost where. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can draw it anywhere. It's not a big deal. I just don't want it to interfere with the previous. So, what did I do? So we all know a straight line is a linear function, right? Which is, which means what? F of x, function of x, is alpha plus beta x. It's a linear function. That's the specification of the linear function. But a curve, I don't know, maybe I'll just, okay, never mind. Quadratic function is either like this or So let me move the whole thing. Can I? Oh, I can't. I don't think I can move this thing. Okay. A quadratic function, a second order, either like this or like this. So inevitably, I will have to erase this. Ah, no, don't. I just wanted to erase. Okay. So you know what linear function is. I don't think I will have to write again, but if I have to, maybe I'll put it there. And that's linear function f of x alpha plus beta x. Of course, in this case, beta is negative because it has a downslope, right? Downslope, the slope is going down. So in this case, beta is negative. And this alpha, if I extend this, alpha is of course vertical intercept. That's alpha. And beta is the slope, so the beta will be negative, right? And then beta will be negative. On the other hand, this is a quadratic function. Quadratic function can be pointing down or pointing up, right? Could be pointing down or pointing up. But you know what quadratic function is, right? And in this case, this one is something like f of x, function of x, and usually you can call it y, alpha x squared plus beta x plus gamma, right? That's basically the specification of the quadratic function, right? That's the specification of. And when alpha is positive, right? When alpha is positive, with alpha being positive, right? You will have this, the curve that points down, right? When alpha is negative, you will have, right, a curve that's pointing up. But we have the interest rate sensitivity. I mean, interest rate sensitivity of the price. In other words, the relation between the bond price and the interest rate. It's more like this, right? It's more like this. So the equation of that curve would pretty much be something like this. We can already, assume that would, if we can estimate these parameters like alpha, beta, and gamma, right? If we can estimate these parameters, we can generate that curve, right? And then the curvature is this curve. So, oops. Okay. So basically, this type of curve is called, is said to have convexity. It's said to be convex to origin, right? Actually, mathematically, convexity is defined as, when in a function, when you have a certain, if you pick a certain point, or inflection point, right? Inflection point. These are called inflection points, something like this. This is called inflection point, right? This is also called inflection point, right? Where, it makes a turnaround, right? And when you, how do you find the inflection point? It's called first order condition, right? You find inflection point by first order condition of the equation. I mean, if you have taken microeconomics, you should know what inflection point is and what first order condition is, because it all has to do with the optimization. So these are called, and how do you find an inflection point? First order condition. What's the first order condition? I mean, think about it. The slope, if we find the slope, the convex, I mean, the curves that are pointing down will have, first, before you reach the inflection point, which is the lowest point, the slope will be all negative. Slope will be all negative, and at this point, the slope will be 0, and past that point, the slope will be all positive. And for the one that is for the curve that is pointing up, before you reach the inflection point, slope will be all positive, and slope will be 0 here, and then the slope will be negative, right? Past that point. So the first order condition is basically finding that inflection point. And then that means what? Because this is the second order equation, in other words, quadratic function, if you take the derivative, of the first order, the function, right? If you do this, it's usually, written as f of x, right? F of x is the first, called f prime of x, f prime. That's the first derivative. Okay. Now, I hope this doesn't sound too, outlandish to you, because if you're a finance major, right? It's no kid's game. It's no, right? It's no joke. It's no kid's game. It's grown-ups game. And as a grown-up, this calculus is something you must have already done. calculus is something you must have already done. And if you are especially FIN major, financial management major, it's you are required to have taken, Math 301 calculus, ideally already. I mean, you may not have taken it yet, but by the end of your program and before finishing your program, you're supposed to have completed Math 301, which is calculus. Okay, of course, Math 209, the statistics as well. Now, if you have already taken it, then first derivative, second derivative, that shouldn't be, what is differentiation, what's integration, shouldn't be too, foreign to you. Although FNB major, who are, not financial management program, but, in business management, if you are in finance and banking, if you're specializing in finance and banking, in business management major, BC, right? So there is no BC, FNB, right? On the BC program, under that umbrella, there is FNB specialization, and FIN, financial management, is a separate program, like, BC. There is BAN, business administration, BC, business management, and there is FIN, financial management. FIN is an AS program, right? So it's an independent program. So if you're FIN major, you have taken this. You must have already taken calculus, or even later you will have to take. And if you are FNB major, it's not required, but FNB, Math 301, Math 209 are not required, but it is recommended, right? If you are doing only the requirement, FNB will have very low math requirement. So it may seem outlandish to FNB majors, but for FIN majors, this shouldn't be too, this shouldn't be too unfamiliar, right? You shouldn't be like total strangers to this. Now, so basically, if you solve X, and first order condition is that this should be 0. Why should it be 0? Because you are at inflection point. Think about it. If you are at inflection point, if you're there at inflection point, slope is 0, right? What did I say? From duration you learned, if you take the first derivative of the curve, that's the slope of the curve at that particular point, at this, that means at this x value, right? At this x value, at that point, the slope of that curve is 0, right? Slope is, neither positive, not uptrending or downtrending, 0. So we set it 0. If we set it at 0, if we set it at 0, then we can solve for x. Oh, what makes this, what should be this x, right? We can solve for x, and then we can find this point, right? So we know, oh, when x is this, right? We will know this x. When x is this, it makes the slope is 0. It makes inflection point. But that is just, what time is it? We're almost. Oh, we cannot even. So I want you to. We're already out of time. But the point is, so convexity is basically finding that quadratic equation. I mean, convexity is basically, finding that alpha value of the quadratic equation. So the point is, we will need to come to this equation, right? This equation, basically, which is basically percentage change in percent. You see this equation, right? This is a quadratic equation, right? Convexity is that alpha value, right? Because x is interest rate right here, which is y, right? And convexity is this coefficient alpha of the second order term, right? And if we know the convexity, and if we can construct, and the beta is the modified duration, and then if we have this, then we can have more precise, more accurate prediction of percentage change in bond price. Okay, but then the whole steps of derivation, it involves a lot of calculus rules, product rule, first of all, product rule. And if we, so, and then that isn't, it's not just the calculus, it's also part of calculus, but we need to go through a Taylor series expansion, which is, already a headache. Taylor series, this is Taylor series expansion. This is how you, that's, how you approximate higher order function, higher order equation. Taylor series expansion will give you a that quadratic equation at a particular point. I mean, if you expand that, if you expand that function around a particular given point, right? What's it going to look like? It can be, so Taylor series expansion is really, something you need to know. If you are of course, you're not math major, but if you're economics major, finance major, and of course, not on this level. And it's something this is done on like 4,000 level or graduate level. But the point I'm not expecting you to be able to understand this, but the reason I'm introducing you to Taylor series expansion is because I cannot just throw the end result at you, and this is how you use convexity. I mean, that's most of what the textbooks are doing. They just throw you the end result. But the question is, when I looked at the book, how did they come up with this? How did they come up with this? The textbook never explains this. And I figured it out on my own. because the textbook doesn't even talk about the calculus part. And most of the think about it. Even if you're in Wall Street, let's say you are with Goldman Sachs, you wouldn't know this because most of you would be working. If you get a job with Goldman Sachs, you will be in the front office, meaning you are doing dealing with the you would be account executive, and you will be dealing with the clients. If you're dealing with clients, you don't need to. You can't you can't expect the clients to follow the math, right? This is sort of like back office thing, and in the back, not just the back office, so R&D department, right? Research department will be dealing with this, but not the front office, right? Quants. Have you ever heard of quants? Do you know what quants are? You know what quant is? Anyone? Does anyone know what quant is? We're already out of time. Quant means quantitative analyst, and the quants are the people who have done basically financial computational finance, math or physics, right? Or economics, right? And the quants would deal with this. Even the traders don't deal with this. I mean, as an account executive, you'll be also, doing your own trading because you will have to manage your clients' money. But if you're in the front office function, you would never have to deal with this. And most finance textbooks are not intended for quants, but it's intended for just regular run-of-the-mill finance professionals, front office professionals. So they will never, MBA programs, no, they never talk about this. They will just throw the, this is convexity, and we, by, using this formula, we can predict the percentage change in, they never know what is all, what constitutes, what went before arriving at this end result, right? It's like, to drive a car, you don't need to know all the engineering that went into building a car. You just need to drive the car. But so this is like, the engineering behind the car, right? The science and technology and engineering behind the car. Well, why am I talking about this? I'm not, as I said, I'm not asking you to fully, master this. But as a finance major, if you're a finance major, you need to understand that there is a beneath, it's like tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? This formula is only the tip of the iceberg, right? It's only the tip of the iceberg. And beneath the surface, there's a huge, a theoretical foundation that supports that tip of the iceberg. You understand? And when I say theory, in most other subjects, most other disciplines, theory means all verbal. But in finance and economics, physics, finance and economics, theory means math, right? Theory is math. So we're already out of time. So I'm afraid, I've held you down for 10 minutes. So any questions so far? The class is already dismissed. And if you have no questions, you may be excused, right? You may be excused. And if you have any questions, I guess we can do it better in a one of my office hours. Okay. All right. Robert, you have something to say?
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.
All
Yeah.
right. Take care. Who was that? Damien? Take care, Damien.
Yes, sir. Bye, Professor.
Okay.
Professor.
Take care now. Yeah. Robert, yes. Go ahead.
I just want to ask you a quick question after class.
Okay. All righty. So stick around. I
Okay.
will first have to stop recording.
Okay.
All right. Have a great weekend, everyone,
Okay.
and take care. So stop recording.
Professor, the
Yeah.
second midterm is the 10th.